something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop. Children, watch that sound. Everybody look what's going down.
Guys, welcome back to our fourth video on Vietnam. In our last video we talked about how the United States finally gets involved as far as military aggressive moves. When that's with the Tonkin Gulf Resolution, the attack on the USS Maddox. Congress approves a resolution for the President to use broad military powers, and by the end of 1965 we had 50,000 U.S. soldiers in Vietnam fighting the Viet Cong, the North Vietnamese, the Communists, basically everybody. It was the United States against everybody over there. And the war gets gets moved into the jungle. The Viet Cong are very, very good at moving in and out of the jungle, moving in and out of the cities, in and out of the countryside without being seen, because it was almost impossible. Or you couldn't tell the Viet Cong from the South Vietnamese people. And I'm not saying that everybody looked alike, but you got to remember the Viet Cong were South Vietnamese. They had the freedom to move in and out, and then they had the help of the people. They had the support of the people, because the people wanted a clean and free from corruption government in South Vietnam. They wanted the foreigners out, and so it was very difficult for the United States soldiers to know just exactly who was friend and who was foe, and that leads just to a lot of trouble for U.S. soldiers, a lot of troop morale drops. I'm sure if you know anything about Vietnam, you know about the tunnel systems, and this is a really good diagram of what the Viet Cong had built into the jungle as a way to make a quick hit-and-run attack and then escape, basically disappear without being seen. You can see all the different levels of this tunnel system. They even have man-powered bicycles to run the medical units in the ground. It's insane the level of strategy that they went to hide themselves just to get the enemy out of their country. The United States views this situation in Vietnam as a military struggle. The Vietnamese, the Viet Cong, see this as a struggle for their very existence. And I want to take you back to a time in U.S. history on our own soil, back in the 1770s, when there was a group of people known as patriots fighting a group of people who we called tyrannical government, King George III and the British, over taxation. We wanted that group of people out. We wanted to be able to govern ourselves. We wanted sovereignty, and we would do anything we possibly could. The British in the Revolutionary War saw it nothing more as a military struggle. They saw it as a group of colonists who were rising up as rebels, opposing the rule of the king. From the Patriots' point of view, it was a struggle for their very existence. Now, I'm not saying anything against U.S. soldiers in Vietnam. I completely 100% support the soldiers in Vietnam, and I think more support should be given to those veterans who came out, who survived the war. But you have to understand that in our own history, we had a situation where we fought an empirical power to free ourselves, and that's exactly how the Viet Cong are viewing this situation. Again, Viet Cong, they use tunnels, they use the jungles. The United States military comes with the assistance and, I guess, coordination with the South Vietnam Army. We come up with a couple of weapons to use to clear the jungle. One, napalm, horrible stuff, but it was a gasoline-based bomb. Essentially, as soon as it hit, it just destroyed all kinds of area in fire. And then the second one is Agent Orange. It's a chemical designed to destroy the vegetation. You know, one of the reasons the Viet Cong was successful in the jungle is because of the coverage, the vegetation, and so the army, the military believed, you know, we get rid of that, we get rid of their cover, we expose them. Unfortunately, napalm and Agent Orange was dropped on not only jungle targets but also civilian targets, because the Viet Cong were living amongst the civilians, and so the decisions were made to attacks villages where it was, I guess, supposed that the Viet Cong were hiding out. A lot of the search and destroy missions that the soldiers were sent on completely removed villages, uprooted innocent civilians. And so in a war that we were trying to win the hearts and the minds of the people, we weren't doing a very good job, because we were literally uprooting them, innocent people, uprooting them from their homes in search of this enemy. Here's a couple of photos of napalm in action. Throughout the series so far, the lecture series so far, I've mentioned troop morale and trusting the government. Eventually, due to the success of the Viet Cong in being able to hide and escape and hit and run attacks, the troop morale begins to decline. They realize that the soldiers realize that they're fighting a war that there's not very much support for, even from their own government. They're not getting support. Forget about the people back home, the citizens back home, but just the government themselves, the government that actually sent them to Vietnam. They start to realize that the government there is starting to lose support for the troops, and unfortunately, a lot of the troops turn to methods of escapism, if you will, especially in regards to drugs. Alcohol, marijuana use is rampant among Vietnam veterans over there, just to escape and not have to deal with the realization of what they're doing over there. Again, soldiers realized they were fighting even when the government was starting to negotiate negotiate a withdrawal. The soldiers were still being sent into the jungle to find this enemy. Very, very bad situation for the veterans who were just simply being told what to do, and they were simply doing their job. It is not the veterans' fault, in my opinion, as to what went on in Vietnam. Guys, thanks for listening. Take care.